Hey fellow chess learners, welcome to our channel Pawnception. In the modern era of chess, the King's Gambit is considered a relic. It's a ghost of the 19th century, dangerous, romantic, and mathematically dubious. Most elite grandmasters wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole in a serious tournament. But Hikaru Nakamura isn't most grandmasters. It's 2010. The venue is the World Blitz Championship in Moscow. Hikaru Nakamura was already the face of American chess. He was the H-bomb, his style, psychological warfare. He loved to pull opponents out of their computer-prepared comfort zones and drag them into a street fight. On the other side, Dmitry Andreikin, a former world junior champion and one of the toughest defensive players in the world. Andreikin is like a brick wall. He welcomes your attack, waits for you to overextend, and then punishes you. When Nakamura opens with the King's Gambit, he is basically slapping a glove across Andreikin's face. He is saying, I don't care about the theory. Let's see who is faster. Nakamura begins with the most honest move in chess, e4. Andreikin mirrors him with e5. Symmetry on the board, equality in principle. And there it is, f4. The King's Gambit, a move from another century, played with modern confidence. Nakamura offers a pawn not as a gift, but as bait. This move immediately tells the audience what kind of game this will be. No slow activities, no quiet build-up. This will be a race. Andreikin accepts with the xf4. No fear, no hesitation. In gambits, the player who accepts must prove they can survive the consequences. Development with intent. The knight attacks the f4 pawn and prepares quick castling. Nakamura isn't chasing the pawn immediately. He is building pressure while keeping his king flexible. Andreikin responds aggressively. Instead of calmly defending, he pushes the g-pawn, protecting the extra pawn and challenging white's setup. Perfectly placed. The bishop slices across the diagonal to c4, staring straight at f7. Most sensitive square in black's camp. This is textbook King's Gambit energy, rapid development, open lines, and immediate threats. White pieces are already humming. No retreat. Andreikin pushes again, attacking the knight on f3. This is a critical moment. Black is choosing space and material over harmony. Each pawn move gains ground, but also leaves scars. Nakamura ignores the attack knight. He castles anyway. He busted out the Museo Gambit variation of the King's Gambit. Andreikin takes the knight. Materially, this is correct. Black is now up a full piece. But this capture tears open the g-file and drags Black's king's side into the spotlight. In Gambit chess, the question is never can you take material, it's can you live with it. Nakamura recaptures with the queen, restoring material balance partially and, more importantly, centralizing the most powerful piece on the board. The queen now eyes f4, d7, and beyond. Andreikin develops a bishop on h6, blocks potential checks on the diagonal, and keeps control over key squares. A subtle, intelligent move. White strikes the center with d4. This is a rule as old as chess itself. When your opponent's king is unsafe, open the game before they can organize. Black responds with counterplay. The queen steps out early, attacking and forcing white to stay alert. His move carries attitude. Development continues, but with teeth. The knight moves to c3, supports the 5, strengthens the center, and prepares further aggression. Black mirrors development with nc6. This knight defends central squares and supports future queenside play. For a brief moment, the position almost looks normal. Almost. And then Nakamura breaks the illusion. The knight leaps forward to d5, planting itself deep in enemy territory. It attacks c7, eyes f6, and forces Black to make an uncomfortable decision. This is not just a move, it's a provocation. Andreikin chooses safety over pride. The king steps off the e-file, abandoning castling rights entirely. This is a big concession, but a practical one. Better to lose the right to castle than lose the game outright. c3, a quiet move after loud ones. Nakamura supports the center. This move shows maturity. The attack is not rushed. It's being prepared. Andreikin reinforces the center with d6 and gives his king a bit of breathing room. This move also prepares development of the dark squared bishop and puts a temporary lid on white's central ambitions. It's a sensible, stabilizing move, but it also admits something important. Black is defending now, not expanding. Nakamura calmly recaptures the pawn on f4. This is a key moment. White regains material while improving piece placement. The gambit faces officially paying dividends. Black develops and reinforces central squares. This knight also prepares kingside defense, though kingside is a generous term at this point. g3, a quiet, practical move. White prepares to tuck the king away safely and gives the queen retreat squares if needed. The queen steps into an active post, penning, probing, and reminding white that threats exist on both sides of the board. This move also discourages careless development. No drama. The queen sidesteps to g2, breaking the pin and maintaining harmony. White refuses to be distracted. Black finally develops the bishop on d7, connecting rooks and preparing queenside coordination. For the first time, Black's position looks structurally sound, though still tense. h3. White asks the queen a question and prevents future pins or intrusions. This move may look small, but it's psychologically powerful. It says, I am in control. You don't get free moves. The queen retreats to g8. The probing ends, at least for now. Here comes the discomfort. The knight hops to h5, aiming at f6 and g7, landing on a square that Black would very much prefer remained empty. Andreikin strikes first. The bishop cuts down on c1. Nakamura recaptures without hesitation. The rook slides into the open file, activating instantly. Notice the theme. Every recapture improves white position. Nothing feels forced. Nothing feels rushed. The black queen again enters the center, defending critical squares and eyeing potential counterplay. This is Andreikin's attempt to stabilize, to keep the lid on the pressure cooker. No lid. Nakamura kicks it off. The g-pawn storms forward, attacking the queen and ripping open more lines. This is not reckless, it's calculated violence. A defensive knight move to g6. Black blocks key squares and braces for impact. This knight is a shield, but shields can crack. Another rook joins the party. White doubles down on central control and prepares tactical blows along the e-file. This is textbook attacking chess, bring everything. At last, Black brings the rook into the defensive line. The king may be stuck in the center, but at least it's no longer alone. White queen finds a perfect square on g3. From here, she has h4, g7, and supports potential sacrifices. Every white piece is now aimed at the same target, Black's king. Andreikin seeks relief. He offers a queen trade, hoping to drain the attack of its most dangerous fuel. This is a critical psychological moment. Trades favor the defender if they survive long enough. Nakamura accepts the trade. Queens leave the board, and Black recaptures with the knight. The position transforms. The flashy queen attack is gone, but the danger isn't. The knight jumps forward on f6 with purpose. It plants itself deep in enemy territory, attacking key squares and restricting Black's already limited coordination. Andreikin responds defensively, repositioning the knight to block threats and guard critical squares. The knight strikes again, snapping up a pawn on h7. This isn't just about material. It's about opening lines and weakening the last fragments of shelter around Black's king. The rook moves to challenge the knight. A forced response. Black cannot afford to let that knight linger unchecked. g5. The knight retreats gracefully, having done its damage. This is classic attacking technique. Enter, disrupt, exit without being caught. Black retreats the bishop, attempting to consolidate and untangle the back rank. But every retreat here feels like another concession. A clean, confident sacrifice. Bx f7, and white gives up a bishop to rip open the position and drag the king into the open. This is not speculative. It's calculated, built on superior piece activity. The king is forced forward to e7. Castling is a distant memory. Safety is an illusion. Nakamura improves his king, connects his rooks, and signals complete confidence. There is no rush, no fear of counterplay. Andreikin brings the rook back on f8, trying to re-establish some order around the king and contest open files. This is defensive housekeeping, necessary but insufficient. The bishop retreats, but with purpose. From b3 it keeps control of key diagonals and avoids potential harassment. This is a reminder that good attacking chess often includes well-timed retreats. Every piece remains useful. Black develops bishop to d7 and connects rooks. Here comes the human moment. White king walks forward, not to attack, but to participate. This move screams confidence. Nakamura senses there is no real danger left. Black seeks counterplay on the queen side, attacking the bishop and trying to distract white from the central and king side domination. It's a practical attempt, but it's coming from the wrong side of the board. The bishop steps back into the spotlight, pinning and restricting. The knight retreats to the corner on h8. An ugly but forced move, a symbol of Black's cramped position. e5. This is the breakthrough. White blows open the center while Black's king is still stranded. Timing is everything. And this pawn push arrives at the exact moment when Black cannot afford it. The position cracks. Black captures the bishop, reducing material pressure. A discovered opening of lines delivered with check. The pawn captures on d6, tearing open the center and forcing the king further into danger. The board finally gives way under the accumulated pressure. Andreikin has no choice. The king steps forward to capture, walking deeper into enemy territory. At this point, Black's king isn't defending the position, it is the position. Every future move will revolve around chasing it. A precise rook check. No free tricks, just geometry. The rook cuts across the 6th rank, slicing off escape squares and forcing the king to keep moving. The king runs again on d5 now, stepping into the open board like a lone piece in the endgame, except this is not an endgame yet. The knight collects another black piece. But more importantly, it removes a defender and tightens control over key squares. Black tries to block lines and bring knight into the defense. It's logical, but far too slow. A calm, almost cold-blooded move. White takes away escape squares, prepares rook lifts, and keeps the structure flexible. This is not a rush to mate, it's a methodical strangulation. Black stacks rooks, hoping for counterplay or tactical resources. Hope, at this stage, is doing most of the work. White repositions a rook to c1, the open file, cutting off central escape routes and increasing pressure. The king pushes forward again, trying to outrun the danger rather than hide from it. But the board is shrinking. The final clamp. This pawn move shuts the door behind the king, locking central squares and sealing Black's fate. There is no safe square left, only temporary ones. Andreikin tries to throw a final obstacle into the path. The knight steps forward, blocking lines and offering itself as a shield. This is the defender's instinct. Complicate, interfere, delay. Nakamura responds with clarity. A direct rook check that forces the king to keep moving. No mercy, no hesitation, just control. The king captures on d5, removing the pawn that closed the net but stepping deeper into danger in the process. The board is now completely open, and the king stands exposed at its center. Rook joins the hunt. This is coordination at its finest. Checks come not from desperation, but from abundance. White has options, many of them. The king keeps running, but each step forward only reveals how few safe squares remain. A beautiful rook lift. One rook cuts the cross ranks, the other controls files. This is textbook rook coordination, the kind that turns space into a prison. The black king escapes for now. The rook slides back to check, maintaining the pressure without losing structure. This is patience disguised as aggression. The king reaches d2, but this is not freedom. It's the last corridor left open. Nakamura removes the final defender. The knight falls, and with it, Black's last hope of resistance. Andreikin develops the bishop on c6, trying to block lines and create at least the illusion of resistance. Nakamura simplifies without fear. The rook captures on e8, exchanging pressure for clarity. This is confidence in its purest form. When you know the ending is winning, you choose the simplest road. Black recaptures. One rook remains, but it's lonely, overworked, and hopelessly outnumbered. A quiet, deadly pawn move. This locks in space, cuts off escape squares, and prepares the final act. There is no immediate threat, and that's exactly what makes it terrifying. A last check. The final attempt to disturb white harmony, but this check changes nothing. The king steps forward, not back. This move is a statement, there is no danger here. When the attacking king feels safer than the defending one, the game is already over. Black places the bishop, hoping to create a defensive shell. It's too little, too late. The final blow. A rook check that seals the board, cuts off the king, and leaves Black with no meaningful reply. Andreikin resigns. This game is a masterpiece of modern aggression. Nakamura took one of the oldest, riskiest openings in history and used it to dismantle a world-class defender in a high-stakes environment. It proved two things. The king's gambit is never truly dead if you have the guts to play it. Hikaru Nakamura's ability to calculate chaos is almost unparalleled in the history of the game. This win helped cement Nakamura's reputation as the King of Blitz, a title he still fights for today. For Andreikin, it was a brutal lesson in why you never give Hikaru an open F file. If this game stirred something in you that quiet or only chess can bring, then stay with us. Because here, we don't just replay move, we relive moments where genius dared to dream. Subscribe and step into a world where every game tells a story and every move has a heartbeat.